43% of our employment base is in trouble, and they're worried about their jobs during hyperinflation and a beginning recession. We can do a number of things.
Tim Duvall, okay, tell us right now where you were born, educated, and what in the world caused you to lose your mind and run for office.
I was born in Covina, California. I moved around with my parents and then came back to California in San Clemente, where my grandparents had helped found that city. And later graduated and started working my way through school and graduated from UC Berkeley with a bachelor's in science degree. Mm-hmm. And then went to work. I worked for AT&T as a business planner and became a financial manager there and finished my MBA. I worked my way through Pepperdine and got my MBA from Pepperdine.
Thank you very much, Tim. Tim, let me ask you this. When you look at District 16 and when you look at the Nevada Senate, what's the number one issue, number one problem that Tim Duvall wants to get involved in and help tackle?
The number one problem for this state can't be ignored. It's education. And without education, I wouldn't be where I am today. If I hadn't learned to read well, do math, and be able to write, I wouldn't be here today, and I wouldn't be running one of the most boutique businesses in the medical device industry, one of 5 in the world. And so that's what needs to be improved upon. I believe it can be improved upon, and we need to do it with the basics.
Thank you very much, Tim. Tim, let me also ask you this. When it comes to getting involved with your campaign, what are the issues that you have? Are you looking for volunteers to help your campaign? Are you looking, like most of us, looking for money?
Well, volunteers are always important because that helps us go out and get our message right to the voter. As far as money, I made a commitment with my friends that when I ran, that I would run for the primary and I would take care of that. Now, some people have donated, and that's been appreciated. But the other thing I want to mention about money, when I get in this office, every dollar paid to me will be reinvested in early childhood reading programs so we can elevate everybody here in Nevada.
Wow, all right. Now, I got a question for you that first time I asked this question was 40 years ago. I've been doing these debates for a long time. Yeah. My question to you is, you're in office, okay, and you are about to vote on a subject that you know your constituents want you to vote one way, but in your heart, you think for them you should vote the other way. Which way are you going to vote, Tim?
My constituents who are counting on me want me to vote the way they see to vote, and so I will vote for them.
Vote with them, okay? Let's give a big round of applause for Tim Duvall. Tim, if you don't mind, okay? Now what I really want from you before you have to answer some radio, television guy's stupid questions, why should we vote for you?
You should vote for me because I have 50 years of progressively increasing business experience. I've created jobs, I've solved problems, I've been in 4 different industries, I've been in 5 small businesses, 4 of which were my own, and I've worked for 2 Fortune 50 corporations, and I was advising their boards on major developments and jobs. I was the financial analyst for all 453 phone center stores and the 2,500 service centers around the country that existed in the early 80s and into the 90s.
Wow. All right. Let me, if you don't mind, ask another question. Number one, it sounds like on your list of things to get accomplished, education, right?
Correct.
Okay. Number two, and then followed by this question, where does our economy right now, if you don't know, our economy really sucks right now.
That's correct.
All right. Now, what can you do as our state senator to help with the economy?
The economy, I belong to a group of companies around the country that were picked to fill out a small business pulse survey every quarter since COVID started. And so I've been involved with that. I received the last survey in April, and it was quite alarming because in Nevada, 70% of our businesses have been moderately or severely damaged in the small business arena, and they have not recovered. 6% are now out of business, and there's only 20% who say they're treading water and are neutral. And so if we don't do something, that's 43% of our employment base is in trouble, and they're worried about their jobs during hyperinflation and a beginning recession. We can do a number of things. One is the most punishing tax of all is the modified business tax. That tax every employee that works for me, and I must pay every quarter. And we need to abate that tax for the next several years and help small business take a great shot in the arm and move this economy forward.
Wow, thank you, Tim Duvall. I appreciate that. Now, you mentioned the economy, and I guess everybody, and you heard Senator Heller bring it up, gas. Such an unbelievable problem. I called Blue Book yesterday, Blue Book on my car. And the first question they said, is it got a full tank or is it empty? They were going to judge my car on the gas in the tank.
You know, that fuel issue ripples right through business, and especially with trucking, with UPS and others. I am paying a surcharge every month now of $1,500 to UPS. It's assessed at the end of every month based on what we've shipped, and so I'm paying that. On all the incoming goods, we're paying. Right now, as a company, my inflation rate is about 22%. I just looked at key packaging material we use in the medical field, and they have raised my price 300% on my individual units. So if you think inflation is 8.9%, when you look at producer prices, they're at 14.4%. That will catch up to the consumer price. It has to, because you can't stay in business if it doesn't.
Thank you, Tim. Now, something that I've always done over these years and years, and by the way, our studio, I want to make an announcement. Our studio is in the Reno Town Mall. A lot of you remember it as the Old Town Mall, directly catty corner across the street. We're there for you. We have one room, which is my studio, that can keep up to 50 people there. Then we have another room for 300. Then we have a main hall for 1,000 people. If you, as a candidate, would like to have a meet and greet or a fundraiser at the Reno Town Mall, please get a hold of me. I'll give you my business card before we leave today, because I think it's important that everybody who's going to vote become educated. Tim, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you've done. I want to ask, is there anyone in the audience that has a question for Tim Duvall? Stand up.
And I could be wrong about this, but a couple of years ago, in the middle of the night, the Nevada State Legislature enacted a law that changed the election procedures in the state of Nevada. And I'm wondering if the candidate has any opinion about this, and if so, what, if any, changes would he be in favor of?
And I would run up to a house, and suddenly there were 3 couples in that house, relatively the same age. I realized there were 3 people who had been in that house, sold that house, so all 6 of those individuals get a mail-in ballot. It's so easy to clean that against the U.S. Postal Service database, which is readily available to everyone, and we would at least eliminate those who moved and registered their move. So we need to do that. Universal mail-in ballot is fraught with problems. One of them is, how do you collect an ID on the ballot? And if you're going to do it, maybe you need to put your license ID if you're going to mail in a ballot. I'm a believer that you should vote in person. I'm not one against early voting. I think that's a tremendous advantage to a democracy to allow people to vote, but do it with an ID. The second thing is, when you need a ballot because you're going to be out of the area, you should request that mail-in ballot. We can go back to the way it was. Everybody's worried about Dominion voting machines. Well, I believe they were put in for Chavez during his election, and that's what they were developed for. So you should worry about them. But we should take those off the internet, and they should, if you're going to use electronic voting, and I've used it since I was 19 years old. I remember filling out the little cards with the little circles on them so they could be scanned into a computer. So those were secure back then. I also remember paper ballots when Richard Nixon lost the election to Kennedy by 125,000 votes out of Cook County, Illinois, because they were dead people voting on paper ballots. So we have to secure our elections, and we need to do that because of a number of reasons. If you feel the election was stolen, then you need to be convinced it wasn't. And we need to convince our citizens that we have a solid voting system. Wow. So I don't understand why we don't do it. Maybe we're afraid of the outcome, but the outcome would still be advantageous because we would know what happened and how we can solve it.
Wow, thank you, Tim. Any other questions from the audience for Tim Duvall? I don't know if anybody read the news today, but Elon Musk is at it again, okay? He said today in an announcement he's going to buy Dominion. He's going to buy the company Dominion, and he's going to take Dominion and he's going to use their technology and give it to Tesla. He said so he can build 100 cars during the day and 60 more will show up after midnight.
There you go.
Thank you, Tim Duvall. Let's give it up for Tim Duvall.
Thanks. Thank you, Nevada.
By the way, a lot of you don't know this. We've been talking about how bad the economy is, so I started getting some of the facts about how bad the economy is. A lot of you may not know this, but it's so bad that earlier this morning, Exxon, the company Exxon, had to lay off 25 congressmen. Okay? All right. Ray?
Great. Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Red Move Nevada. Please subscribe right here and go and listen to one of these other videos. Also, just remember, we always have a luncheon every month or a dinner, so check at redmovenevada.com for our next event.